Good evening, everyone. Welcome to TouchTone Tuesday presents Tell Your Story. And what amazing stories we have had as we celebrate moments in Black culture. That is, we're celebrating Black History Month, as you know, but we're celebrating moments in Black culture. It's more than a month. It's a movement. And tonight we have one amazing young lady. My goodness, she is phenomenal. She has just set the tone in so many things, but nothing more than industry and business like none other. And I can't be happier than to have this time to hear her and to hear her share her story with you, as well as many tips that I think some of you will find extremely useful, especially in this season. So we don't want to keep you in suspense any longer. It is certainly my pleasure and my honor to have our amazing guest on tonight, Miss YC Lawson. Well, hello, my sister.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of Tell Your Story.
Indeed, thank you.
Yes. And you guys, I'm telling you, she's got a phenomenal story. So we're not going to delay this. You got to tag somebody in that chat, tell them they want to get here. If they're thinking about starting anything, any type of creative idea and putting it into motion, you need to be here tonight to hear this jewel. And so, Miss YC, as we call her, tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about you.
Okay, awesome. I was born Yolanda Carletta Lawson, so hence YC.
Mhm.
Um, I am a mother of two wonderful kiddos, a boy and a girl, and I am a Navy vet. I was a hospital corpsman in the military, and I worked with the Marines. I kind of consider myself to be a bit of both since I had to do Marine training also.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
let's see, I am a graduate from University of Houston downtown, the Gators, my alma mater, and my studies were in psychology because
Mhm.
after the military, I really wanted to get a better understanding of who Yolanda is. Who am I?
Ah,
And I didn't know that. I was still in my early 20s when I was released from the military. So, me studying psychology was me trying to figure out what the doctors couldn't figure out, figure
mm,
it out myself. And I learned how to deal with myself and I learned how to give myself room to grow.
yeah.
I learned so much about myself and taking up those studies and even with different type of counseling methods and things like that. So
Mm.
when the doctors were using it on me, sometimes I would critique them and say, oh, well, maybe you should try this or try that. And they'd look at me like,
Oh,
where
yeah,
should you get this from? Well,
yeah.
the most important person that needs to know me is me. So
Mm,
you guys can do your best and I appreciate that, but I need to help and be an active
exactly.
participant.
Exactly. Wow, I love that.
Mhm.
Before we go any further, thank you so much for your service to this country. And at a time that we're looking at so many things, man, that is just phenomenal to come in as a young woman, to be skilled and to know two sides of our military branches, the Navy and the Marines. These are not easy areas, guys, in case you were wondering, but she went in as a woman and handled up on these things. And then, of course, we hear many things that come out of that. And you mentioned getting to know yourself beyond the military, because sometimes, they give you an identity while you're there, but that
Mhm.
may not be something that you ascribe to. So to go through that, I guess self discovery is what we
Mhm.
would call it. Yeah. Okay. Self discovery is what you did and better understanding you. Man, hats off to you. Hats off to you. Because there's so many of us still working on that particular segment that you just mentioned, understanding us. That's huge. So how did that help you? You mentioned your beautiful children. What are their
Mhm.
ages? I want to get past that. You got something about
Awesome. My daughter is 16 and my son is 10.
you've got teenager.
Yes, I have a teenager.
Oh my goodness. Fun ages though. And I'm sure they bring you lots of joy.
Indeed, they do.
I see that on your face. Well, tell us a little bit, you've learned things, you're balancing family and
Mhm.
you're coming into understanding you, bringing that into your family. But how has understanding you helped you to go forth into business before we get into this next question with family? But how has that helped you to understand, not only business, but maybe anything?
Mhm. Right. I think the main thing that has helped me to understand is just being able to trust in myself.
Mm,
Trust in the fact that I have changed uh, businesses. I don't know how many times over the years my family was like, "You don't know what you want to do," and I was okay with that. They may not have been, but I was. I
mm,
was confident to say, "No, I'm going to pivot and do this now," and
yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. So I allowed me finding out about myself to help me to evolve as a person.
Yeah, yeah. So vital, so important as we welcoming guests coming in. Thank you guys for coming on in. We so appreciate you here on tonight. But we have Miss YC Lawson with us sharing her story, and we've got a whole lot more to go. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned for this. So it helped you, even though others didn't understand you. And I think that's one of the things as women, perhaps, that we have to learn to be okay when maybe someone else is not okay about us.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's an, as you said, it's evolving. It's an evolving process. So what does family mean to you? You've got these beautiful children and you evolve, beautiful young woman. What does family mean to you?
Yeah, thank you. Um, Family to me is not defined in a traditional sense as a mom, a dad, and kids and a dog. Family to me is defined by the love that I share with my children
Mm,
and the mindset that I help pass on to them to help them grow to be the best that they can be. It's pushing something positive and encouraging. It's acknowledging my mistakes. And
mm,
it's also listening to my kids.
yeah.
Sometimes I have to sit and actually listen to something that they have to say that growing up, we were not given the privy to do so.
Mhm.
So it's listening and it's learning from them, and accepting that they actually, and I tell my kids, you guys chose me. I want to do my best here on this earth as your mother, but
Mhm.
I also chose you as my children. And what can I learn from you? So it's been a joy. Indeed, it's been a joy. It's been, tears and happiness and dancing and crying and all of that. But it's been a joy and something that I wouldn't want to take back.
Mm,
Uh, and I also have been a single mother this entire time with my kids' dad making the choice that he did not want to be in their life the way a traditional father would be.
yeah.
So it's been a learning experience, and I'm going to continue to learn. But family to me is, like I said, it's not defined in a traditional sense for
Mm,
me, and it's defined through learning, through pivoting, even in family, figuring things out and admitting when you just don't know.
yeah.
I don't have an answer. And I've leaned on my friends, I've
Mhm.
leaned on my family, I've leaned on my kids to help me. I remember when they were younger, and if I was doing something and I got tired, I'm like, okay, Jesus, you're gonna have to babysit these kids because I'm going to sleep. So, you know, we it's not defined in the traditional sense. So I
Yeah.
was out, but it's enjoyable and it's a learning experience, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, and it just shows, as I said, when you speak of them. But I like the fact that you spoke of that exchange between you and your children, and essentially, bridging what we call that gap sometimes between generations. And so,
Mhm.
seeing family as that exchange, that giving of all sides, means that everybody gets an opportunity to grow. And so I really like
Indeed.
that definition. I like that. Like that. So tell us a little bit now about your profession and how you
Mhm.
came to choose it.
Okay, awesome. So, as I said already, my degree is in psychology,
Mhm.
and it's also in business management and business marketing.
Okay.
So I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Um, Really, I can remember as early as middle school, I used to make cardboard shoes out of cardboard, and I would go to school and I would sell those for $1 at school. And this started in middle school, and people would be expecting these, and I would work hard over the weekend and
Wow.
create these things that wouldn't melt as soon as they hit water. But I just remember the exchange, and really, it wasn't, of course, the money, because a lot of times I gave things away for free, even as a kid. But it was watching someone light up, watching
Mm.
and seeing someone get excited about something that I offered them,
Yeah.
um, coming back and doing what I said that I was going to do.
Mm.
Those things, it
Mhm.
really helped me to learn, even as a young woman, that I want to be an entrepreneur. I knew that for me, because I'm hard headed, I'm feisty. You can't just tell me something, expect for me to just take that. I have to get a good understanding of it,
Mhm.
and it needs to actually make sense,
Yeah.
and it definitely needs to be legal. So,
All
so
of
yes. So knowing those things, and also with the discovery of myself over the years and the
Mhm.
rediscovery of
Mhm.
myself,
Mhm.
um, I have just stayed, in various businesses over time.
Mhm.
And I'd say around 2015,
Mhm.
there was a gentleman that I was engaged to at the time, and
Mhm.
he was what was he? He was in transportation. So he was a transportation manager. There we go.
Mhm.
And he would talk about these big trucks that would come in and talk
Mhm.
about, the drivers and blase, blase this and blase, blase that when he and I would speak. And I was just like in awe. So I told him, hey, one day I'd love to come up to your job and just take a look at what you do. And I went to that warehouse, and I was just enamored with just these. When I was growing up, my mom used to call 18 wheelers big nasty. And we were driving, she drove a little small Pinto. And of course, compared to these big 18 wheelers, and
Mhm.
I would look up out the car and see these big things, and we say, there go Big Nasty, driving by. So when I went into that warehouse, it just really hit like, oh my God, this is how the world moves. Like,
Mhm.
this is how we're getting our food to the grocery stores. This is how we get the clothes that are on our back. Everywhere I look, I see transportation, I see trucking,
Yeah.
and we can't make this world go round without it.
Wow.
And I literally just fell in love with the aspects of it. How did it get from point A? How did it get to
Mhm.
point B? How did I end up with it?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
that choice that I made in that store started with something that was far bigger than me.
Mm.
It started with so many different people that combined, it's amazing. So I literally fell in love with trucking and transportation, logistics, supply chain management, wanting to know more about it. And I got married in 17, 18. I got
Mhm.
married in 18.
Mhm.
And although that relationship did not last,
Mhm.
we started a trucking company together. And that was exciting, exploring all of these different aspects about trucking. Um, so in 2019, when we made that choice to go ahead and split up, he took the trucking company, and I was left with nothing. And I was at one point just really devastated. Like, oh, I started this, I put all this sweat equity in it, I have nothing to show for it. And a friend of mine told me, you have your sanity and you have what if you started that, you can start another. And
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, you're so right. So fast forward from there, and towards the end of 19, some associates of mine, actually my children's godparents,
Mhm.
they approached me and said, hey, we know what you did for your ex-husband. We'd like you to do that
Mm.
and help us with our contract. They had just recently been awarded an Amazon contract
Oh,
for
my,
line haul freight
my.
transportation. And they were like, look, we need someone that knows the inside, the back office, the administrative side of business.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I helped them. And still to this day, I assist them on that side of the business. But now I have my own freight brokerage and a 51% owner and a trucking company of my own now. So
Well,
here we are.
here we are. And you say that as if that's just a simple statement. But here we are. I'm listening to the magnitude of the process that you went through. Of course, the epiphany when you
Mhm,
get into that warehouse and you see everything and the light
mhm,
bulb comes on and said, this is my niche. But then to
mhm,
get in there, psychology degree, business to couple it with, and then put all of that together and begin an industry, a trucking industry with your husband at the
mhm,
time. You guys
mhm,
work that up, you learn it from the inside out.
mhm,
Even though the relationship, as you said, did not last and everything went with it. But the thing that did last, as you said, your sanity and
mhm.
your zeal, your excitement still for the business that said, if I did it once, I can do it again.
Yeah.
Ah, that's the confidence we're talking about right now.
Mhm.
And guys, in case you're just coming in right now, this is Miss YC Lawson, and she is handing it to us like nobody's pardon the pun business on today, because that's exactly what she did. And many times I think we forget that. We forget that if we've done it one time, we can do it again.
Mhm,
You still have the same skill set, probably greater now, because you know it from the inside out. You know where to miss sort of the potholes and the obstacles. You know how to circumvent those things. And you did this. So tell us about your business now and what kind of drives you with that
mhm.
business from day to day. Tell us the name of it, all of
Okay. So my company, the name of my company is Lawson Business Solutions.
that. Hmm.
And I actually started that company in 2016.
Mm.
And I named it Lawson Business Solutions because in 2016, I had a marketing and advertising agency. And I worked with holistic practitioners such as chiropractors and naturopathic doctors.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
And so when my husband came along and was like, hey, I'm a driver. I would really like, to get business started. I was like, yes, let's do it. I was ready to just really dive into that transportation side of things for
Hmm.
business. So with me now starting my own freight brokerage, and a freight brokerage, because people hit the term brokerage on a regular basis. So a freight brokerage is basically a company that has customers who are shippers that need items shipped, and we connect those people with truck drivers who we call carriers that
Hmm.
have the capacity and the tools to ship those items.
Yeah.
So we're that, I don't necessarily like saying in between person, but we're that mediator, we're that
Mhm.
connector, we're
Yeah.
the helper, we're the assistance that comes in and says, hey, I
Mhm.
know X, Y, and Z, and
Mhm.
they can carry this, and we vet those carriers, and we just are in constant communications with both the shipper and the carriers to help them
Mhm.
uh, and get those items moved from point A to point B. So um, initially in 2020, I'm sorry, when I started the
Mhm.
freight brokerage part of my company, um, I struggled. It was right after COVID had hit, and I saw how I was still working with my kids' godparents with their Amazon contract.
Yeah.
And then I started this freight brokerage, but then
Mhm.
I saw how some of these truck drivers are being taken advantage of. And
Yeah.
I didn't like that because my heart is really for that's the where I came out of. That's where I got my start singing that. That's what I really appreciated and liked because they do all of this hard work. They're missing, just like military. And
Yeah.
that's how I saw them. They're missing their family. They're missing birthdays. They're
Wow.
missing anniversaries. They're
Yeah.
missing the births of some of their children.
Yeah.
Some of these people these truckers are out there in the road when it's snowing, when it's raining, when just the weather is just ridiculous, when
Mhm.
there's a pandemic out there.
Yeah.
Who's bringing us our food?
Wow.
Who's bringing us
They
the
are.
clothes and the things that we need? So I have a heart for truckers.
Wow.
And I saw that sometimes, and even with running a trucking company with my ex-husband, sometimes the brokers weren't so nice. They
Mm.
didn't play the game fairly. And
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Mhm.
I know, and I still know to this day that the type of person that I am, um, and putting that energy into a company,
Mhm.
I can do it, and I can do it with grace, and I can do it with goodness. You
Yeah.
don't have to steal, kill, or destroy, or do anything evil to make a buck. And
Yeah.
I want to make
True.
sure that people like those drivers, just like soldiers sacrifice their life, they're sacrificing something too. And I want to make sure that they get the bulk of what they're supposed to get and that they're treated fairly.
Mhm. Yes. So more than just an industry or the business bottom line, you see the humane or the humanity of it before we go forth. And that's incredible in this time and hour when everybody is kind of dog eat world, so to speak, that you keep the humane, compassionate side of it and see the
Mhm,
person and say you're nurturing that. And in turn, it turns out that they nurture us
mhm,
by bringing all of the things that we need, but somebody needed to be there to nurture and to be caretaker of those who were taking care of us. And that's why I said, we talked a little bit earlier, but man, you have us woke right now. And I just want to say that one more time. Thank you. For them. I hope you guys are enjoying this because I'm soaking this thing in. So, the pandemic comes and it looks like it's not gonna do as well, maybe, but
mhm,
now we have items, as you say, this industry that just captured you years ago. But now
mhm,
we're hearing items that are stuck out at sea. We're hearing
mhm,
items that can't get to us because we don't have truckers available or enough. And perhaps
mhm,
because some of them didn't receive that nurturing that you give to so many. And so,
mhm.
how now, since the pandemic, do you see this trucking brokerage company that you have, as well as the industry? And what adjustments have you made, if any?
The main adjustments are just improving on communication.
Mhm.
You can't go out and just reach out and touch people like we used to on a regular basis or have in-person meetings. So that verbal communication is key.
Yeah.
And anytime I have anything like a video conference or uh, be it a blue moon and I actually meet someone in person,
Mhm.
just making sure that I'm communicating effectively so that they understand what their task is, how
Yeah.
much they're going to get, when they're going to get it. Like, let's, cross our T's and dot our I's and
Mhm.
make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it was a struggle at the beginning of 2020 because of the pandemic. You had a lot of people that were not in their offices, so they were, working from home and trying to figure things out. So
Mhm.
they kind of tended to want to work with people they already knew, that
Yeah.
they already liked, and that they already trusted. So
Mhm.
being a new kid on the block, uh, coming in and saying, "Hey, I can get capacity," and they're like, how would you get it when this Fortune 500 company can't even get it? What makes you able to do X, Y, and Z? And I didn't know how to answer that
Mhm.
because I didn't know how I was going to get to truckers. I just knew that I had the chutzpah to do whatever it is that I needed to do to get the job done. I knew I had that will, and I
Mhm.
wasn't going to stop until it got done. But
Yeah.
they didn't know that.
Wow.
So just getting on the phones, taking that rejection from shippers,
Yeah.
even some carriers, them saying, "Hey, you're new. I don't want to work with you. Are you going to pay me?
Mhm.
I don't know how you're going to get paid, but you're going to get paid. If I
Yeah.
have to, pay you out of my own pocket, I will. But just work with me." So just proving yourself to
Mm.
complete strangers and asking for an opportunity to be that connector, to be that help, and to assist.
Yeah.
So it's humility indeed.
Mm.
And it's exciting to see even now, as I'm able to garner more customers, which are the shippers, and build more relationships with the carriers to get out and take the different freight options that
Mhm.
our company has available.
Mhm.
And not just that, it's the collaboration with other trucking companies and with other freight brokers saying, hey, I may not be able to get this done, but here,
Mhm.
I'll give a shipper over to another broker and say, hey, I
Wow.
know you have capacity. Go ahead and take this and get it done. Because when it's all said and done, it
Yeah.
still boils down to the same thing. We need to make sure that we all eat and that
Yes.
we all have food on the table.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not going to be the one that can take each and every single thing. And
Mm.
um, I don't think I've been much of a greedy person. So
Mhm.
with that in mind, with just my normal personality, it's just been here. This is a shipper. You can go ahead and take this. At the end of the day, someone's family is going to be happy and satisfied and be excited. Just like when we go into a store, we see, oh, this suit that we just have to have.
Yeah.
Or for me, I love catfish. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So sometimes I went to the store and there was none in stock and they say, oh, the trucks didn't come in.
Wow.
I'm really disappointed.
We want to get it
And that's
now.
an understatement.
Yeah.
So someone else, I may not be able to get that done, but someone
Mhm.
else may be able to. And it doesn't mean I have to profit off of it just because my hands have touched it.
Yeah.
So coming to that understanding uh, and being able to willingly share
Yeah.
when you give out freely, it
Yeah.
comes right back to it's like it's a boomerang.
It's a
You
lot.
can't do it enough because it's just gonna. It may not be from that same person. It may not come in that same way, but something is gonna boomerang right
Yeah.
back to you, and that's
Yeah.
how business has been.
Wow. I've heard you say so many things in this, and looking at the chat box coming in. The first, of course, is how to handle rejection. And
Mhm.
that is so huge for many of us as we're starting businesses or new concepts, especially in this post-pandemic era and having been through so much, so many losses. But that was the first hurdle. But as we've heard your story evolve, you went
Mhm.
through things, and certainly having the psychological background that you have to be able
Mhm.
to analyze that and say, hey, let me put it in its right perspective. And so you're able to get over that. And then I heard you speak of humility and what
Mhm.
humility we've heard, not to mention grace in handing off business. Some people would say handing money over to someone else, but you looked and you made an assessment of how well you could do something or how quickly you could do something, but you stood back and saw the big picture. I think many times we miss that. As you said,
Mhm.
the big picture is that we all get what we need. And so if that meant handing it to a different shipper, that's something we need to learn how to do. One thing that I remember, not as big of a basketball buff probably as my husband is, but of course the everybody hears of Mike. I want to be like Mike, but
Mhm.
when you stop and looked at the entire team, some of us should have been saying, "I want to be like Pippen. I want to be like Scotty." Because he
Mhm.
was known to be the great assist. I mean, the man with the most assists on the team. And at
Mhm.
the end of the day, maybe not all the points were up there, but when you look at who he assisted to get those points on the board, the Bulls came out winning. And so that's what I think of that concept when you speak is that you may not see me passing this ball all the time, but when you look at the scoreboard for all of us, we all win. And so I've got to commend you for that because that's a great business tip, guys. Great
Mhm.
business tip. If you haven't gotten that one, that there's enough of the pie to go around. She just handed you something, and I don't think we can teach it well enough. She taught it extremely well tonight. And hopefully you'll replay this and hear it again. But that just spoke volumes to me. Man, kudos right there. And I see you still going far though. I still see you going far because that was going to be my next question, the techniques and the tips. And of course you've answered that. But also with business, how important is the SBA, Small Business Association now?
It's the SBA has been instrumental in my business really from the time in 2016 when I was just thinking about doing some type of business.
Yeah.
going to the SBA, taking some of the classes that they had. Everything was in person. Then being introduced to SCORE, having a mentor with SCORE, and just them, me being in that system, that database, and receiving various emails that were just tailor made to various things that would be great for my business. I
Mhm.
was able to even start writing my business plan for both of those businesses, just using the template off of SBA, getting a good understanding for financials. I think that's so important, and many of us overlook it.
Mhm.
But just getting an understanding for the type of financials I would need just to be bankable. And that
Yeah.
was a term I didn't know until I was
Good.
introduced to the SBA.
That's good. I like that term, bankable.
Mhm.
Because they are looking for certain things, more than just credit scores, collateral. They're looking for history, and they're looking for a number of things. But SBA, of course, Small Business Association, teaches us that. And then also perks that sometimes we forget, such as you mentioning early on, being a part of the military, for which we certainly salute, Navy and the Marines. But going in with the SBA, of course, there is, they set places for that, president, so to speak, as well as being minority, female. So here you were with three of those things in place. And sometimes we don't know that. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the SBA has what you call set aside. So woman on, minority on, veteran on, and some of those set asides have other categories to those. But the SBA just helped me get an understanding that, hey, you're in business, you're getting these things started, but did you know that we would give preference to your company and allow you to come in and be awarded these contracts just based on your ability to get the job done, and the icing on the cake is that you're minority or
Mhm.
woman owned or black owned. It's taking something that has been overlooked by so many people over so
Mhm.
many years and saying, hey, we want you to have the chance. As long as your business is viable, as long as you can get the job done just like the next person can, as long as you're professional, just like the next,
Mhm.
then the only thing that's standing in the way are these things that we didn't look at or that we overlooked years ago. So let's take those things that we overlooked. If you were a woman, we overlooked you. If you were black, we overlooked you. If you were disabled, we overlooked you.
Mhm.
And let's take that and make that a positive, and let's look over someone else so that we can take a good look at you. So that those that built family wealth then will take a step back and allow you to build family wealth and establish some things for the generations to come.
Yeah, I like that generational wealth. You're talking my language right now. So, oh, that's good to me. I just get excited. So, okay, I'll get to bankable generational wealth, SBA, to take a look. Guys, put that stuff down. We're going to put our information in the chat in just a few moments, or let that scroll also. But I wanted to make sure I got this in. So, as we continue in our post pandemic, we'll keep talking about post pandemic, because this is where we are. This is our new normal now, whatever that is. Okay, so hopefully, what impacts you, or what impacts would you like to leave or make in your community and then globally?
Okay. So, in my community first, I want the main impact to be that regardless of skin color, regardless of what I look like, how I look like, and how I talk, regardless of my speech, because I don't always say my words the correct way, regardless of all of that, I can get the job done. And
Mhm.
that's what I want that impact to be in my community, that you're not picking me because I'm black. You're not picking me because of this, and you're not picking me because of that. You're choosing to work with my business because my business can get the job done first and foremost above any and everything else.
Oh, that's good.
That's where we start. That's the leveling of the playing field. Everything
Awesome.
else is just like I said, it's icing on the cake. And also, when we're looking at and making a decision to work with another business, I'm not the type of person that will be like, oh, well, because it's black owned or because it's woman owned or because it's veteran owned, you should do X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
No, what's behind it? What's the substance, behind it? Can you get that job done? That's what I want our community to know and to understand. And that's what I want to have left, that let's not be quick to judge and assume that someone is or is not doing business with you
Mhm.
because of how you talk or how you look or what you say.
Right.
Let's not be quick to do that. And let's not be quick to throw people away, in a sense of, you know what, companies are going to make mistakes because companies are made of people.
Yeah.
We're people, we're human. None of us are perfect. We're
Yeah.
going to make some mistakes. So before we go out on social media and start making comment X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
let's take a break and let's see, you know what, maybe I could have said something different and this would have turned out a little bit different. Maybe that person would have said this to me whether I had been black, white, red, or yellow.
Mhm.
Let's look at these various alternatives and just be able to think for ourselves and
Mhm.
not have any media, anyone coming in telling us, oh, well, if someone does this, then this means that. You don't know that. We don't know what people's intentions are. So let's give everyone an opportunity and let's not be quick to judge our own selves. Let's not be quick to go and put negative things and negative energy out on social media against any business, period.
Mhm.
And globally, I
Mhm.
want to definitely for my business, I know that LBSI, which is the initials for Lawson Business Solutions Incorporated, uh,
Mhm.
not only will be a global company, but we'll have employees all over the world. So right now, sometimes when I go into my actual office, I'm sitting and I'll talk to myself and I'll talk to those that are not even present right now, but eventually they will be there.
Yeah.
It's just like they say, you speak to the bones, right?
Mhm.
Those
Come
dry bones,
on.
you go and you
Come
speak
on.
those things that are not into existence. And globally, I go into my office on a regular basis and I speak as if I'm doing a conference.
Mhm.
I speak various things that I plan on having. So for
Yeah.
me, that's my global because right now I have it and
Mhm.
it will manifest itself
Yeah.
eventually.
Wow. Yes, 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 yes. I love that. I love that. Well, I mean, she's basically sharing with us so many amazing tips, but things that I hear, are things that I go back to, in my childhood when my mom would speak to me, when you talked about, not, prejudging, so to speak, as to how something said, but actually to do your own self-evaluation. And I used to
Mm,
hear my mom say, two steps ahead, that type of thing. But she had a particular saying which I loved and I've taken with me. Although my husband will laugh when I talk about the time frame. But she would say this. She said, I can let you get up at 6:30 or 5:30, and I'll get up at a quarter to 6, and I'll beat you to it every time. I'll beat you to 6 o'clock every time. And what she was saying was, I'm able to compete with you on the level that you're on, and I can beat you at it. And so she instilled that, and I hear that, not just because I'm woman, not just because I'm black, not just because even I've come out of the military and served your company, but the reason I'm going to do it is because I'm capable of doing the job and I'm going to do it well. I came
mhm,
out with my game face on. And
mhm,
that's what I hear of you, Miss YC. And she's telling us, put your game face on when you come out. We're not here to use this color card, although we could. We're not here to use a gender card, although we could. We're not here to even use, a veterans card. And certainly they deserve to use that and so much more for what they have given up for us. But she said, I'm not even here to do that. I'm just here to compete, to do business in the marketplace and do it extremely well. And my goodness, is she ever. Leave us with this. What is one must have that you have to have as you go throughout your day? Because you were so positive and so confident. And I'm sure that came at a price as you shared some things with us, self-discovery a little bit earlier. But
mhm.
what's that one must have that just gets you through the day?
Okay, so the one must have that gets me through the day is just getting quiet, getting still. Um, Whether it's prayer or meditation, getting quiet and getting still, and just taking that moment to still away and do what I need to do to um, make sure that I'm fortified, especially when you're in sales. Sometimes you make phone calls and they're not so friendly. Sometimes you're in tears listening to various stories that other people say. And
Yeah.
you speak with so many different people, there's an exchange of energy on a regular basis. So I have to get still several times throughout the day.
Mm.
And whether I'm just doing some deep breathing or a prayer or just a quiet meditation and just saying, you got this.
Wow.
You were born for this. You're going to be okay. You can get this done. And like just speaking over myself, encouraging myself. And then a lot of times I'll go into um, envisioning what it will be like if it was me telling someone else something or someone else giving me some type of advice. So
Wow.
just being still.
I like that. I like that. One of my faves, be still and know that he is
Indeed.
God. Yeah, be still and know. Wow. Well, guys, listen to this. This is the amazing Miss YC Lawson. Yes, I want to give it up. I hope you're giving her some hand claps somewhere there in the chat. This has been absolute. I was waiting for this all day long. I couldn't wait to get here. So I could hear her share. We get to hear her on some other levels, but my goodness, the networking, we'll have to come back and talk with you about. We're having some things coming up a little bit later. As you know, your sister, as we say, our other Yolanda will be sharing with us as well in some months ahead. But we heard you speak on that psychology component. So we're certainly will be tapping that a little bit later as we are
Mhm.
realizing that all of us, not trying to sound very trite, but we do need our head in the game. And it starts with
Mhm.
understanding who we are before we approach any business and then go forth. And so that was so key to me as you spoke this on tonight. But I don't know if you guys have questions or anything, but I wanted to put her information up and be sure you take a look at that. This is her website. This is where you can go and reach out to her. That's www.lawsonbusinesssolutions.com. www.lawsonbusinesssolutions.com. Please go and visit her website. There you can find information, but also if you have additional questions for which maybe time does not allow tonight, we want you to get them out. This is a wealth of information sitting before us. And this is not Black history. She's just a moment, a movement all by herself in Black culture. And I dare say, in our culture and in our time. We're so grateful for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Any questions, anybody? I see that the hand claps coming in, but lots over here that they had to say in the chat as we go down. And this is amazing. Believe in yourself and keep pushing. Talk now. Yes, help us all, Lord, in all of our ways. And regardless of what, I can get the job done. Somebody took that tonight and got that. So we just want to share all those things with you. But my goodness, you guys be ready for her with Fortune 500. And you heard her speak it right here. It's going to happen because I'm standing in agreement with you, sister. I told you earlier, I see bigger things. I see greater. They don't have these ships just hung out on the ocean and these trucks backed up for nothing.
Mm.
Sometimes God has placed us in a position for such a time as this. And I
Mm.
hear that for you, as you mentioned, starting the business over literally from the ground up after your divorce. But I'm going to put this in the airways. I don't always do this, but I've got to do it tonight. I've got to put this decree on the atmosphere in that same particular book of Esther, which is a favorite of mine, where we hear that verse such a time. But there's another verse in there which I'm going to submit and give to you tonight. And that is Esther 8 and verse 8. And it was at the time when her people were about to be destroyed. She comes to the king and she's very desperate. And she says, he's going to kill them. And he said, okay. She said, because you've written a decree that says you agree with this. And the
Mm.
king looks at her and he says to his queen, yes, I did. He honors that. He acknowledges it. But then he adds this, but you, as my queen, you can write another decree. And that's
Mm,
what you did when you started your business from the ground up. Even though that one was taken, you said, I can write another decree. I can
mhm,
write it not only as it was, but I can write it better. I can not only write it better, I can write it greater. I can not only write it greater, but I can make sure that nobody misses it this time and
mm.
nobody misses me. You wrote another decree, and we're going to see that decree come to pass. So I
Oh,
bless you
wow.
and I honor you, my
Thank
sister.
you.
Again, you guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it's been a long day for her. Anything else? I don't want to. I had to share that with you.
No, thank you. I definitely appreciate this. I was definitely nervous. I was like, oh God, what am I going to say? You know, how we commit to something and then the minute we commit to it, we're like, did I just say yes?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the time and just for being a guest. I don't think any of us will ever feel like we've made it,
Mhm.
but just to be chosen to be on this great show, I definitely appreciate that, and it's just not taken lightly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We bless you, my sister. We release you to your evening, and thank you all so much for joining. Oh my goodness, what an amazing time! What an amazing time! We're gonna have her back, guys. We're gonna have her back, no doubt. She will be back. She will be with us, and thank you all so much for joining us here on tonight for another segment of TouchTone presents Tell Your Story. Remember to celebrate moments in Black culture not only this month, but all the days of our life, because we're not just a month, we're a movement. Take care and have a great night.